Good evening and welcome to another episode of My Fiber Fun. Y'all, I had started this video and was 15 minutes into it and I started it, this is actually Monday night, and I said, I'm going to go on and film this tonight because I don't expect my phone to ring. What happened 15 minutes into it? Ring! Cut me off. But that's okay because I wasn't too far into this video. So now I should be able to finish this with no problems. Okay, so we're going to start over here. This is going to be the video where I announce the winner of the contest. We actually have 5 winners. And what I had mentioned was our first place winner, our first place winner actually guessed correct on both questions. She guessed the correct answer for the first part, which was who won, me or them. Okay, she guessed correctly. And then when she guessed by the amount by, what was the amount by, she came within $8 of the actual amount. Girl, you must be a psychic. Okay, then we had a our second place winner guessed correctly for who won, who won, me or them. And then she came within $25 of the correct price. So she was the second place winner. Then our third, fourth, and fifth, they actually guessed the wrong answer as to who won, but then they came in pretty kind of close as to the amount, but for the wrong person. Or the wrong one. So I went on and picked them because I started to just raffle off the last 3, but I was like, no, I'll go on and pick them because they did, as far as the dollar amount was concerned, they came in with a good dollar amount. So that counts for something. Everybody else, you were 2,000 light years away. Okay. So you didn't make it. Sorry. But the 5 who I am going to name towards the end of this video did come within a great amount. And then I'm going to tell everything, Okay, so let's get on to the next part. And this is where we pretty much got cut off on the last video. I was given the liquidation store respect. I said they either they've done this so many times that they know the nature of people, or they had a mathematician on board, or both. I can tell just by how things went because I was paying such close attention, and I could be wrong, but this is what I think. First of all, I think they used a mathematician, or they have one, within their business. They know the nature of people. And then thirdly, I believe they set themselves up to win as far as pricing. Because what I did notice, I think they were very smart. They started with the 20%, which is really nothing. You're not saving anything. And so in that part, they knew the panic buyers were going to hit. And like I say, I wasn't really a panic buyer, but my panic was deciding to go in there, get what I want, no matter what the price was, no matter, well, not what the price was, but no matter whether it was on sale or not. I targeted what I wanted. And while those items would still be there, I said, I'm going to buy it whether it's on sale or not. And that's exactly what I did. So I already knew at that point I was taking a loss at the very beginning. And so although I'm not counting the items that I purchased on the day before the sale, because remember, I went to the Bloomfield Hills Joann's the day before they announced whether or not what was going to happen with the business. We didn't know whether they were going to close or not at that point. And then that next day when I went back, we still didn't know. We were under the impression that 500 stores would remain open, but the rest would close. And wouldn't you know, the White Lake store was on the list of one of the 500 stores to remain open. And they were going to be, I think, the only store in Michigan that was slated to remain open. So I was all happy and thinking, okay, this doesn't affect me, blah, 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 blah. Yet and still, I was still mad, that the company was going down the way that it was. Then, boom, they lowered the boom on us a few days later by announcing that everybody, once they went to court and everything, they announced that they were closing all the stores. And then that's when I was looking good and silly. But I still said, I'm not going to panic buy. I'm not going to do it. So at the beginning, I went and bought that Yarn Swift, that yarn bowl. And I'll be showing that on tomorrow's video when I do my haul. I'm sitting up here surrounded with everything that I bought from day one until the end. And so, although I'm not counting the Yarn Swift, the yarn bowl, nor those 3 seed storage things that I have, and I didn't even bring those out. I forgot, and I won't. And there's a few other items that I didn't bring out, but they will be mentioned. In fact, let me write them now so I don't forget on tomorrow. Okay, seed, the wind chime, and I did the tool. I went on and took the tool to the greenhouse because my sister was here on today, and I said I better take advantage of that. And then also I ended up giving my sister a bolt of tool, and I also gave her a pack of those wipes because I had bought 2 wipes. But I gave her 1 because they came in, they cleaned up for me, she and her daughter. She did the cooking and everything. So I was like, okay, she deserves something. And I knew those were 2 items that she would need and like. So I went on and gave them to her before she left. Okay, so now, like I said, I give the liquidation store their props because they knew exactly what they were doing during this closure. And I think that when they started with the 20% off, they decided we're going to run it until we can't run it anymore. And that's when they had targeted the panic buyers. Okay, so once the panic buying had subsided after about a month, then all of a sudden they went up to 30% off just to bring some more folks up in there. And so when they went up to the 30% off, you had your newer customers that came in and figured, okay, maybe I can, get some yarn or something like that or whatever. And so they were able to target that. Then they went to the 40%. They hung in there a while because you had more people coming in at that point with the 40% off, but it was just the yarn. And then they knocked the 60% off of the fabric. So that brought the fabric people in, include myself because of the tool. They brought the fabric people in, to get that 60% off of the fabric. And it was a 2-yard minimum, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so they were able to keep the people coming and whatnot. And so that was a strategy on their part. Now, to recap my strategy was I set a budget for each trip. And my goal was to stay within budget, come under budget. And if I were to go over budget, it could not be over a certain amount. If I figured I was more than a certain amount over budget, something had to go back. I did that quite a few times. And you all saw on some of those films where I put something back because I knew it busted the budget. But then there were some purchases that I made where I knew if I don't get it today, it's not going to be got because it's going to be gone. And I knew it was going to bust the budget, and it did. Okay, so now I'm going to let you know what I did, how much I spent. I wrote down a lot of stuff here. Okay, hold on. I'm looking at my notes. Okay. So I wrote down these notes here. This is what I wrote down what I spent and what I saved. And so what I did was, first of all, I had 16 total visits to the liquidation store. There was the one visit, there was only one time that I went to the liquidation store and came out with absolutely nothing. And that was the second to the last visit. And it was my last visit to White Lake. I went in there momentarily, 7 minutes I spent in there. I could not find the tool. There was nothing else really in there for me to get. And I beelined it all the way to Auburn Hills from White Lake. That was the only time I walked into the liquidation store, or I'm going to just say Joann's now because it's neither anymore. So we're just going to be respectful and forget liquidation store name. We're going to call it Joann's. I walked into Joann, White Lake, Michigan for the last time and came out with nothing. And that was the only time that happened during the whole journey. Okay, so I'm going to let you know. I put this in categories of my purchases, and we're going to talk about all that in the next video when I show you the purchases. My best purchase, I will say, was the glow yarn and the yarn chicken. It's not best, but my favorites. Those were my two favorites, surprisingly enough, because I had no idea what the glow yarn was until that day when I saw it. And then I ended up going back a few hours later after watching the reviews on YouTube. I was like, I better go back and get that yarn before it disappeared. And I did. I went back and bought 11 skeins of it. And that was one of my favorites, if not the favorite. And glow yarn is right here. That's what I bordered the last row of the shawl with. And my beloved yarn chickens. I had never seen those before until I saw one. And it was like almost every time I went there, I had to get one. Although I only ended up with 5. So I controlled myself with the yarn chickens, but I loved them. Those are my two favorites. My wisest purchase, which meant I used wisdom in making these purchases, and there's two. The Ottlight, I think, was a very wise purchase, and that was totally unexpected. That Ottlight would have been $99 regularly, and I got it for $40, and I just slipped up on it, and it happened to be 60% off, although the sign next to the Ottlight said that they were 50% off. But when the lady told me it was actually 60% off, that sealed the deal. That was a very wise purchase because of my sight now being farsighted. I can't see close up. I wanted to be able to work with black yarn again, and now I can work with black yarn once again. If I had not bought that Ottlight, I probably would have had to figure out with something else, some type of magnification just to be able to work with black yarn. So that was a wise purchase. My second wisest purchase was the tulle. And like I said, I bought a lifetime supply of it. And that was a goal from the very beginning of the journey. I said, eventually I'm going to get some of that tulle, but the price is going to have to be right. So when that fabric went off 60%, remember I bought those. I bought a bolt that day. Then I bought some more. It was like on 2 occasions. I bought like 10 yards of it. And then I bought two bolts total. And then right at the end, my very last time, well, Auburn Hills, this was the time before the last, I went and bought every stitch of tulle they had because they had put it up to, was it 90%? And then you take off half of that. So basically it was 90% off. So I spent, I spent quite a bit for it. But the point is, it was pretty much $500 worth of tulle after I added everything up. But anyway, I ended up spending, it was $75 for that tulle, but then I got 50% off. So it ended up being, a lot cheaper for me. Because I think during that visit, I spent a total of, was it $38 or something? I can't remember. I might be wrong. But anyway, it was a lot cheaper than what it's worth. And I got my lifetime supply. So for that, I stuck it to the man because I hit my goal. Okay? Surprise needs. Now, and that was something, and that came as a surprise because I got those wipes. And they considered that, I forgot the name, that they considered that stuff. When they started selling off the wipes, toilet paper, masks, and all that stuff. Those were needs that I had, stuff that I could use, but wasn't expecting to see those for sale. So it was almost like a rummage sale type deal. And I purchased them. So I was able to get 2 nice boxes of masks, 2 big giant things of wipes, and then I ended up getting that can opener, which was something that I needed, but never expect to see it. And the first day I saw it, it was 50% off. No, it was 40. No, it was 50% off, $49.99. So it would have been $25. That very next day, they had 2 there. One had sold, there was 1 left. And that next day, it was priced, I think it was like 70% off, because I spent $14 for that can opener. So I ended up spending $10 less than if I had spent it the day before. So when I saw that they had taken the price down some more and it was just that 1 left, I said, I better get it now. Okay, my most expensive item purchased was the steamer. And that ended up being my most expensive haul. And I spent the total that day because I bought other things along with that steamer, but the steamer was the most expensive. It was regularly $253 or something like that. And I spent the total of, because it was only 50% off, I spent half of that. So I spent $121 or either $124. And so my full purchase for that day, because of that, ended up being $181.12. But on that very day, I saved $171.55. Okay, my second most expensive purchase was $121.16. And what did I purchase? I can't remember what I purchased on that day, but on that, oh, I know what I purchased. That was that tool. Because altogether, that day, I spent $121.16. I purchased a tool and a million other things that day. And I ended up saving $295.45. So I was way ahead of the 8 ball on that one. I spent a lot less than what I saved. Okay, and then I came within $10 of what I saved for the steamer. Then my third most expensive, and we're going to stop at the third one. My third most expensive purchase was $99.35. And on that day, I saved $56. Oh, and then we'll go to 4. My fourth most expensive purchase was $76.74. But I ended up saving $77.61. And then finally, the fifth one, I spent $52.63, but I saved $68.62. So as you can see in the middle there, I was hanging in there. I was hanging in there. So after I looked at what I saved, crunched the numbers, and what I would have spent if I had just been going into Joann's and nothing was on sale, I ended up buying $1,692.12 worth of items. That is how much it would have been had nothing been on sale, or if nothing had been on clearance or whatever. Okay, so everything that I purchased during that journey came to $1,692.12. But of course, you know that wasn't what was spent. The total that I spent with the liquidation store, drum roll please, because that's going to reveal the winner, whether I stuck it to the man or whether they stuck it to me. I spent a total during those 3 months, or how long was it? Yeah, February, March, April, May, almost 4 months. During those almost 4 months, I spent a total of $855.59. I saved $836.33 for a total of $19.06. So the liquidators stuck it to me by a total of $19. I told you it was close, and 6 cents. But now I'm not upset. Let me tell you why. There's one reason why they beat me by $19.06. I made two crucial, fatal errors. And one came early on and the other one came later. This blanket right here, my Noro blanket. Remember, originally I was crocheting it in the same stitch, the corner to corner, with the diagonal slant, and I was using the half double crochet. And then after I bought that Noro book, I saw it wasn't a corner to corner, but it was a granny square afghan made from Noro yarn, and I thought it was so beautiful. I decided to switch up to the granny stitch, but then I went with the corner to corner. When I was making it because I was just certain that I was going to have it in the half double. In fact, I had started my decreasing. I was almost done with the blanket and frogged it for the millionth time, okay? I went and bought this fabric, and this fabric was only at that time the fabric was 40% off. And I bought this fabric to put a backing to the blanket. Fatal error number one. I can still use this fabric, but had I not bought this fabric, I would have saved. The fabric cost me, hold on. Let's see what I do with let me look here. Okay, the fabric cost me $10. This I think this was this was 2 yards or something, and it cost me $10. So from that 1906, that would have taken me to losing by $9.06. Second fatal error. And that just happened a couple of weeks ago. Remember when I went to buy, I said, I'm going to get this pattern and stencil adhesive. I thought this was $2. When I got home and looked at the receipt, I found out that this was $18. And so it was 60% off. And so I ended up paying $8 for this can, and it was a fatal error. I was like, well, I got it now, so it's here, because it couldn't be taken back. But had I known that the original price was $18 and that I had paid $8 for this, I never would have gotten it. I would have put it back when I put back the other stuff. So this is a total of $18. I would have lost by a total of $1 had I not bought these two items. And I shouldn't have. Technically, both items should not have been purchased. Because of that, that is the reason why the man stuck it to me. But even still, it was so close that I don't even feel that I've lost. Okay? And like I said, 1906, that's not bad at all. That's not bad. And when I was crunching the numbers, I was like, oh, this is going to be close here. Because when I was carrying and all that stuff, while I was doing the adding and subtracting, and when I got to the final one, I did it again to make sure. Okay? I did it again to make sure. Okay, now, so I told you my most expensive item was the steamer, and that was my highest price. And then my most wanted items that I purchased were everything embroidery. So those were my most wanted. I got everything that I wanted, and a lot of that was just 20% off, and that was right at the beginning. My first purchases, my first probably 3 trips was just with the embroidery. And so I got that, and so I'm satisfied. I was satisfied with that. All in all, I am very satisfied with how I played the game with the liquidators. I should have won. And even if I hadn't, well, no, I wouldn't have won. Oh, they had it locked down. They knew they were going to win. But the point is, I should have only lost by $1. But instead, because of my fatal error, I should have lost by $1.06. But because of my fatal error by buying that fabric and also purchasing that adhesive stuff, I hope it comes in handy, I lost by $19.06. So let's announce the winners, you guys. Let me see if I missed anything. Nope. Okay, I've got everything. So those are the numbers, you guys. I think I did good. Slap me 5. Okay, so our first place winner, and remember, we have up for grabs, we have 2 yarn chickens, and then we have 3 of the quilting wax. And let me show it to you if I can find it, because I'm sitting up here in the middle of a horde, okay? Ooh, and it's going to be fun showing you what all I got. It's some stuff I forgot I got, okay? Uh-oh, the glasses. Okay, hold on. I got my hand on the wax, but I'm trying to grip it. Okay. This is 3 of these are up for grabs because, like I said, I ended up with a total of 9. So if you do any type of sewing, you could slide your thread across it, and well, it's a wax. It's beeswax, actually. And what you do is you slide it, and it'll hold your thread together, especially if your thread is doubled, tripled, or whatever, and it helps it to glide smoother and whatnot. I love this stuff. I've used it with my embroidery in the past. So I'll have 6 of them, and 3 of these will be given away for those who want it. So we have that, and then we have 1 glow yarn. Wait, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, no. Sorry. It's 2 yarn chickens, so that's 2. 3, 4, 5. Did I say 6? Was I giving away 6 or 5? I can't remember. But I think it was 2 of these, 2 of the yarn chickens, and 1 of the glow yarn. I know the glow yarn was in there. I have to look back at the other video. I'll get it right. But I know that, okay, it's 5 items because we had 5 winners. That's right. Okay, so it's 2 of these, 2 of the yarn chickens, and then the 1 glow yarn. So I'm going to announce the winners, and then you let me know what you respond, and let me know what item you would like. And then, of course, I'll pin my email address in the comments, and then you would just email me, and just email me your address, and I will send your item out. Give me till next week, because y'all know I'm having this attack, but I do have to go out on the 3rd. I have no choice but to go out. So, and then I'll be going out to get my medicine and all that stuff too. So when I'm out, I'll be stopping at the post office. That's easy. The post office is 2 minutes from my house. It's handicapped accessible. I'll be okay doing that. Okay, so our winners. The person who guessed, she told me that they won, and she said by an amount of $27. She came within $8 of what they actually won by, because they won by $19.06. And that person, she said, I'm going to be different, and I'm going to say that they won, and I'm going to say by the amount of $27. The moment I saw that, girl, I almost fainted. If you had seen me behind the scenes when I saw that, I was like, doggone it, you don't won. You don't won. I'm sitting up there in the house just going, girl, if you only knew, you won. I wanted to just type that in, girl, you won. But I had to keep quiet for these past 2 days. So here you go. Kay Tomlin, you won, and you guessed it within $8. I said you must be psychic. So you won. So you let me know what you want. Do you want a yarn chicken? Or do you want the glow yarn, being the first place winner? Or do you want the wax, one of the waxes? Let me know. Second place winner is Debbie. Debbie guessed that they won, and she said that they won by an amount of $50. So that's a further stretch. But she guessed within like $25, and she guessed the correct answer as to who won. Okay? The 3rd, 4th, and 5th place winners, they guessed that I won. Most people guessed that I won. And you would think so, and I should have. Dadnammit. But I messed up, y'all. It was me. But you all came within an amount that, although they were the ones who won, you came up with an amount that was actually kind of close to what they won by, but you just said it was me. So I had to had to make that count. Okay, so the third place winner, and also Debbie, let me know. Do you want a yarn chicken? I don't know if the glow yarn is gone, but I know that a yarn chicken will definitely be up for grabs, and I know that the wax will be up for grabs, depending on what Kay Tomlin wants. Okay, so the third place winner is Deborah. Deborah, you guessed, and you were the 13th voter. You guessed that I won, and you guessed that I had won by $12.50. So you are number 3. Okay? And the only reason you became number 3 because your number is a lot closer than Debbie's. The reason why Debbie got the second place is because although her number is further, she actually guessed correctly for who, for the who won. So that was the first part of the question. So that's the reason why. Okay, our fourth place winner is Dawn. Hey, Dawn, girl, you won, girl. You guessed that I won, and you said by an amount of $30. So you were next in line as far as the monetary amount. So you ended up being number 4. Everybody else guessed like by 100. Some people guessed by 200, 150, stuff like that. Everybody was like in the hundreds after that. Now, Wally, you might would have, no, Wally, would he have won? Yeah, Wally, you would have won. You would have been the fourth place winner. Or you would have been, let's see. No, Wally, you would have been a third place winner, but you said you didn't want a prize. I wrote that down because you guessed that I won by $15. So actually, you would have been one of the winners. Okay, so Dawn, you are the fourth place winner. So I don't know what you're going to get, girl. We'll see. It is either going to be wax or yarn chicken or possibly the glow yarn. We don't know. And last but not least, our fifth place winner was Just Fluffy. You guessed me and you guessed $30. So you were actually tied with Dawn by exact. You guessed the exact as Dawn, but Dawn was the 8th one who responded and you were the 11th. So Dawn got you beat because she was the first one who came up with that answer, but you still won. You just came in 5th place. So those are our winners. Kay Tomlin, congratulations. Congratulations to Kay. Congratulations to, who's number 2 here? Wait a minute. Hold on. 3, 4, 5. First. Wait a minute. Where's my second place? I done lost you already. Second place winner. Oh, here we go. Congratulations to Kay Tomlin. Congratulations to Debbie. Congratulations to Deborah. Congratulations to Dawn. And congratulations to Just Fluffy. Alrighty, you are our winners. So we'll see what you won. And in our next video, we'll announce who gets what. So I'm going to upload this today and then look for my next video, which is, let's see, how many minutes? Okay, this is only 30 minutes, so that's cool. Okay, so we will return tomorrow with the haul video. That one's going to be a lot longer than this because we got a lot of stuff to go through. But I'm very, very, very pleased. And like I said, there's some stuff that I forgot I had even bought. And when I got everything out, I was like, oh, Lord, this is a hoard. So I'm going to get everything put away, put up. I have a spot for everything. It'll be put up nice and neatly. In fact, my closet is just about clear and free for this stuff. I'm going to just put everything there until I'm ready to use it. You know, like the embroidery, that's going to come into play this winter. So all that stuff will be pulled out then. And then other things, some things I'm using now. And then there are some things that I'll use later. Some things I didn't bring out and all that. Okay, so we're going to get off of here. And I hope you enjoyed this video of the Stick It to the Man Challenge. So once again, a total of $1,692 worth of merchandise was purchased. I ended up spending a total of $855.59, which I shouldn't have. And my savings were $836.53. So that's not bad. I really do not think that was bad when you look at it in the scheme of things. And like I said, had I not bought that doggone adhesive remover and this fabric, I would have lost by $1. And that would have been, for me, considered breaking even. In fact, the 1906 I consider breaking even. So when you look at it, they only made a $19.06 profit off of me. Hey, I got to say it. I stuck it to the man, okay? I think I stuck it to the man. Although I lost, but I still stuck it to the man because it could have been worse, a lot worse. Okay, so that's it. So you all have a wonderful evening. It's after midnight now, so I'm getting ready to turn in. So you all have a nice evening, and may God bless you all. And yeah, I'm too tired now to go through all this stuff. So I'm going to go on and finish up this bag. I'm going to take these knit needles and stuff out of this bag. Oh, and this is going to go into my, I haven't shown y'all this. This is going to go into my historical box. This was the very last ad that Joanne sent, and it was for the month of January. They never sent one for February because remember, all heck broke loose in February. And this was it. This came, and on the back of it, let me cover my address here. On the back of it, you see where they had the coupons. Never used them. I never even used this. I totally forgot that I had it. And so I'm going to put this in my archive box. So that was in the bag. And then let's see what else. And then a few items that I bought that, that will be displayed on tomorrow. So I can just set these in this yarn bowl for now. And I'm going to finish this bag. And then I'm finna hit the hay. I'm going to watch a little TV and go to sleep. So I will see you guys on tomorrow. And thank you so much for watching. And one more look at the patriotic shawl. I just love it. I really do. All righty. Talk to you later. And may God bless you all. Bye-bye. Over and out.